You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
Sometimes things are so much bigger than football, and obviously, Thursday night football, the Miami Dolphins lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, but it seemed the entire Miami fan base kind of have bigger things on their mind, and that is the health of QB1 Tua Tagovailoa. It felt like once he went down injured, the result didn't really matter too much. And obviously, credit to the players for continuing to play the game. And obviously, they would have wanted to win for Tua. As fans, you would just want to win for Tua. But, I was kind of following or checking Twitter as the game was going on after the Tua injury. And so many people were just like, they were just deflated. It was like, the result doesn't matter too much. So, I'm sure I speak for everyone here at Go Time Dolphins and the Miami Dolphins fan base when they say, our thoughts and prayers are with Tua, and we hope he has a full and speedy recovery. But yeah, man, Charlie, how are you?
Man, it's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. I got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast. It's a primetime episode for a primetime podcast, so much so that if you're watching on YouTube, what time is it over there, Kadeem? 5 o'clock in the morning?
Pretty much, it's 4:43 a.m.
Kadeem, peek behind the curtain, is kind of like the producer of the show. He has me in the Kadeem Simmons box and himself in the Charlie Touche box. But we'll let that slide. We took an L today. We'll take an L on the podcast. Listen, I'm gonna be real with you. I forgot what it felt like to have to record the podcast after a loss. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I know we took a lot of L's last year, and we had to record after the L's. And I was out with COVID intermittently last year. Like, I don't know. I missed like a gang of episodes because I had COVID super bad last year. So I know we took some L's last year and I wasn't there to record, but I actually forgot what it's like to record this podcast after a loss. And shout out to our graphics dude, George. We hope George gets better right now. He's going through it. So, yeah, man, it's the GTD team. And what you said about Tua, Kadeem is real, man. Like, and I was out with family. Family flew down. And we were all together watching the game. We went out. And LB hit it on the head. Like, what's up with Amazon continually showing the replay? Not just the replay, but zoomed in, as if we don't know the severity of what just happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you serious right now? They don't show compound fractures close up all the time at like replay after replay after replay. You know what I'm saying? So, Kadeem, you asked me something last week. Not even last week. It was last episode. You asked me last episode. Myself, you, and DraftKings Jason. And the question was, like, do we really think it was a back injury on Sunday's game against the Bills, or do we think it was a concussion? And I said I thought it was a concussion. I'm like, I'm not going to lie. I think it was a concussion. And you asked me another question, Kadeem, and you said, would you play him this week? And I said no. I'm not a neurologist. I'm nothing close to it. I've had reptiles and I thought they can't even feel pain and stuff. I thought you could just cut any reptile's tail off and it grows back. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the furthest thing from a doctor there is. I've been injured countless times though, so maybe I'm not the furthest thing from a doctor because I kind of diagnose some injuries. But I do believe the more concussions you have, the closer to the last one, I guess. I'm not sure how I would word that. The more susceptible you become to having more concussions, something of that nature. Again, I am not a doctor. You about to chime in, Kadeem?
Yeah, but finish your point because I kind of want to follow on from what you're going to say anyway.
So that being said, I was fearful of a hit, maybe because we don't know. What if it wasn't a concussion on Sunday and it was just a back injury? I'm not the neurologist, but the NFL does have neurologists, and they said it wasn't. So let's go with if it was not a concussion on Sunday, all right, then everything's everything, and he just got his first concussion. But if it was a concussion on Sunday, and he just got another concussion, and it was so bad, bro, I'm like, bro, this man has to sit out a minimum of 2 weeks, in my opinion, in my unprofessional opinion. We have a mini bye week now. We play the paper planes next. He's out that game. No questions asked. Then I believe we have Minnesota. And in my opinion, he should sit out that game too. And that's where I'm at as of right now. Kadeem.
So, like I said, I was on Twitter as it happened, and just as I say this, McDaniel's having a post-game press conference. He said, and this is literally as we're recording, he says, Tua was evaluated for a concussion and is in a concussion protocol. They were concerned. McDaniel has said that Tua suffered nothing more serious than a concussion. And I don't know if that's him saying he suffered a concussion or him saying whatever he has suffered, the worst is going to be as a concussion. I think McDaniel was asked on the steps that Tua needed to clear to play. He said it starts with your medical staff and then there's independent specialists that look into it too. There's an entire protocol and you're talking to the player as well. Probably 5 or 6 levels of oversight. And then it says McDaniel leaning into the independent brain specialist. McDaniel says, for me, as long as I'm coaching here, I'm not going to fudge that whole situation. If there's any sort of inclination that someone has a concussion, they go into the concussion protocol. People don't vary or stray. And also McDaniel was asked with 100% certainty. McDaniel was asked if he can say with 100% certainty that Tua didn't have a head injury Sunday. McDaniel said yes, he can say that. And then, the concussion protocol. And so I tuned into like a Twitter live with a doctor, and he was saying the way he kind of spoke about if he had a concussion on Sunday, would it make him more susceptible to having one today? And he said yes and no, and he kind of imagined it to a boxer who gets knocked down in a fight would be more likely to get knocked down and have a concussion because it's kind of already happened. What he did kind of say as well is that we, only the people who checked Tua on Sunday know whether he had a concussion. And my personal belief is that if he had a concussion, he would not have been cleared to play. I think we are so past the days back in the NFL. We have a concussion. You're clearly concussed. Do you want to play? Yeah. Okay, go in then, because they hadn't really realized, how bad CT and all that kind of stuff is. I think a lot of people are blaming the Dolphins. The Dolphins would have had no say on whether he would have been cleared to play. It's as far as I'm aware, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's an independent specialist who clears someone who has a concussion. So it's not, McDaniel with a team doctor saying, hey, Tua, how are you feeling? It's someone who has no relation to the Dolphins making sure that Tua or any player is okay to play. And I think it's one of those things where maybe I'm being naive, but I genuinely think it's just the worst luck that he suffered that injury on Sunday, which I don't believe was a concussion, and then he has this injury now. As I was finishing watching the game, they said that Tua has been cleared from hospital and should be traveling back with the team, which is a positive. But yeah, I can't imagine him playing against the Jets and maybe even the Vikings, because this is clearly something which they really need to look at. What why a somewhat heavy slam caused him to have that kind of reaction. You're on mute.
Nah, I think that looks like a regular concussion. Now, here's the thing: what you said
So
about Mike
the one on Sunday or the one today?
today.
Okay, yeah.
So here's the thing: what you said about Mike McDaniel was he said there was nothing but a concussion. The reason why I think you said something kind of like you alluded to Mike McDaniel saying it was nothing but a concussion, no other injury, basically.
Yeah.
Because many speculated or could speculate that it was a neck injury, a back injury, as well as a concussion. And the Dolphins tweeted out, the Miami Dolphins official Twitter account tweeted out that he has movement in all of his extremities. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think Mike McDaniel said, nah, it's just a concussion. Now, as far as what you said about him reacting that way on a slam, I feel like I see it often. You know what I'm saying? When a receiver gets hit and he goes frozen and his hand is just stuck in the air and obviously he's out of there. So, I think it was a pretty violent slam. And I was watching it real time and someone said, yeah, that didn't look that hard in super slow motion. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's super slow motion. You know what I'm saying? But in real time, it was a pretty violent slam. So, nah, man. That being said, as hard of a transition as it is to talk about the game now, it has to be done. We decided that we wanted to have a Miami Dolphins podcast, so we got to talk all things Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins lose to the Bengals in week 4, 27-15. And oddly enough, the game was still there for the taking. The game was still winnable. And I think, well, I don't want to say I think, but, since we're on Tua, and I'll go into the game, Tua, the injuries that I remember Tua incurring, I don't want to say were self-inflicted, but it's because he always try to make something extra happen. There is a clock in every quarterback's head, like, yo, bail out. It's time to get rid of the ball. It's time to take the sack. It's time to run. It's time to do something, right? And that clock was up on that particular play. And that ball needed to be gone, whether you were going to throw it out of bounds, whether you're going to throw it at someone's feet, whether you were going to whatever you're going to do with the ball, you're not supposed to have the ball at that time. Or you could bail out, right? When the hip injury happened, I think it was similar. Like, yo, you could have just threw it away. You didn't have to take the hip injury. You didn't have to take that tackle. I can't remember the 2 ankle injuries, so I can't really elaborate on him holding on to the ball for the ankle injuries. But just from this hit and the hip injury, it's like, yo, you have to throw the ball away. Now, here's my thing, Kadeem. There are people who would say, oh, this is his biggest flaw. He doesn't throw the ball away. He takes too many sacks and he doesn't have a strong arm. Like, cut the foolishness, man. Like, Joe Burrow underthrew Jamar Chase today and no one's going to have a baby about it. You know what I'm saying? Against, I think, Nick Needham for a touchdown. Wide open, Jamar Chase blew Nick Needham away. The ball was underthrown. It happens. You know what I'm saying? Joe Burrow, again, in week 1, had like 6 sacks, took 6 sacks, a game-ending sack at the end of the game where the game was on the line, 3rd and 7, 4th and 7, and still took a sack. Quarterbacks take sacks when they're not supposed to take sacks. I have no idea why the scrutiny on our quarterback is overwhelming, but it is. I don't know how that happened. All right. So, yeah, man, Tua got to throw that ball away. All right. Going into the actual game now, I have discomfort, Kadeem. It is unwavering. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it may be abnormal. I ain't gonna lie. When Tua is on the field, bro, I just feel like the game's never over. I'm like, this is nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at the live line. The live line shoots up to like 310 plus 310. I'm like, bro, this game is we're only down 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? What people tripping right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, relax. Waddle had 2 drops in the first quarter. That's another thing. We got to talk about drops. People dropping the ball. Like, bro, I believe Waddle had 2 drops in the Ravens game. Hill had like 3 drops in the Raven game. I'm like, bro, y'all boys are too elite to have so many drops. And without the actual stats, I think Waddle could like lead the league in drops right now. I'm not even playing. Like, it's the thing. He might have the most yards and the most drops. Not a shot. I'm just trying to be for real with y'all. So we got to clean up the drops. The whole game, Kadeem, the receivers were out of whack, like not knowing the plays. I'm like, bro, like y'all, they're moving on the line. Tua has to call a timeout or else we're going to get a illegal shift penalty. People asking, what am I supposed to do here? People running into each other in motion and after motion when the play starts. It was all out of whack. Something has to change with communication. But go ahead.
No, it's yeah, it's one of those things where that Chase Edmonds drop in the end zone, could have been a difference. It's the focus will be on Tua. Like, that's the whole conversation on social media. It's going to be the whole conversation on ESPN, NFL Network. Like, if you don't want to hear it, don't listen to any sports. Anything over the next few days, or even week, I guess. But yeah, it's the Dolphins had a blocked field goal, a missed extra point, and then 2 drops in the end zone, one more egregious than the other, and still only lost by 12?
Two drops in the end zone? What was the second drop? What was the drop other than the Edmonds drop?
I don't know if you maybe me calling the Tyreek Hill one right at the end a drop is a bit egregious or a bit harsh.
That's not a drop because it was kind of contested and it was pass interference, but I don't count that as a drop.
But it's like the Dolphins had chances to take a bigger lead, I guess. Mm-hmm. And as I was watching the game, and I think especially when Tua went out, I just felt like it was one game and one injury too far for this team because you saw by the end Xavier Howard went out injured. He hasn't looked the same with his groin injury. And I know people, you aren't, you're like, is it really a groin injury?
Bro, it's looks like a loser's limp to me. I'm just saying. I'm gonna be real with you. They my team too, bro. But I'm gonna tell it like I see it, bro. Like that looked like the loser's limp to me. It looked like you couldn't even guard T. Higgins or Bateman, and now this is what you're going with. But okay.
But yeah, it was good that before the game, Hunter Long and Byron Jones were kind of warming up. So you get Byron Jones back for the Jets game. Austin Jack, friend of the podcast, Austin Jackson's back for the Vikings game. But you can tell that right now this team is kind of banged up, and a mini bye week isn't the end of the world. Hopefully, you get players back healthy. Again, Jalen Waddle looks like he's whatever that Jalen Waddle injury is still affecting him. And yeah, Rich, it's one of those things where I'm sure Bills fans were saying the exact same thing when, after the Dolphins beat the Bills. Well, if we had a healthy team, we win that game. It's probable, we will never know. And I think Dolphins fans can at least make a legit argument that had, Tua played the full game, had the Dolphins been a tad more healthier. And again, the Bengals played a short week as well, but the Bengals weren't as banged up as the Dolphins. If the Dolphins have...
I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to I really don't. I don't like if we were healthier. But what I do subscribe to are the people who said, "Oh, we should trade Byron Jones." Where y'all at right now? Where's everyone that said, "Oh, we should trade Byron Jones"? What do we have? Why do we pay him so much, bro? What? Like, do you know that this team gave up 500 yards, this defense in week 2, and another 500 yards in week 3? And y'all still talking about we should have traded Byron Jones?
I think very quickly, like giving up 500 yards or just under to Josh Allen isn't a bad thing given the way he's playing. And obviously you would expect a elite defense to not give up so many yards. But, and just my personal opinion, probably a lot will disagree. Giving up a lot of yards to a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen is just something that can happen. It's not ideal. And the Dolphins won both of those games. Hopefully,
500 though, Kadeem. 500.
Well, neither was. I don't think either put up. But yeah, 500 total yards. Yeah. Yeah. But five. It's not like. But again, Josh Allen is doing this to everyone, and we even sat here and let me finish. On that preview was like, how are we going to stop Josh Allen from just scoring pretty much at will? So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like Josh Allen and the Bills putting up 400-500. That's just snap.
But it still doesn't say anything about the people who were trying to trade Byron Jones. You think we still give up 500 yards a game if we had Byron Jones healthy? You know what I'm saying? And I just said I don't subscribe to the if we were healthy, which I'm not saying that, but I am saying people need to stop talking about we don't need Byron Jones. You know what I'm saying? We had Keon crossing on the field for the majority of the snaps, a special teamer. Like, dog got a penalty on a late hit penalty because he don't make enough hits, like to know, yo, you're not supposed to hit that late. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro. Listen, man. I just think the team will look a little bit different after this. Yeah, we were banged up. We have a mini bye now. Had we came out with the win and had this mini bye, it would be like, yo, we did it. We survived. And I know a lot of people are taking this as we just wanted to be 2-2 after the first 4. Nah, I don't subscribe to that either, bro. This game was here for the taking. Yes, we're 3-1, and I still think we're in a pretty good position to win the division. I said it. I think the Dolphins can actually win the division. Preseason, Kadeem, my final preseason prediction was 14-3. And I thought we would lose to the Bills twice and lose to the Chargers. And the way the schedule looks, we defeated the Bills now. We're 3-1. We can go into the next few games with the Paper Planes, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Bears, and the Lions. We could go all the way out there to San Fran game. And even after San Fran, we're going to stay in California and play the Chargers. And I know everybody's going to hit me with 1 week at a time. Like, you're already talking about week 12. Bro, I ain't got to take it 1 week at a time. The team should take it 1 week at a time. I'm be real. The team should take it 1 week at a time. But I'm just looking at the schedule because we're content creators, Kadeem, and I have to entertain some people. So yes, I do believe we can win this division now because the Bills, on the other hand, have the Ravens coming up. Then they have the Steelers, then they have the Packers, and I think they have the Chiefs. Those 4 games, and not the same order, but they do have those 4 teams, not in that particular order. Bro, we have a chance to go neck and neck with the Bills for the rest of the season. And if there's someone in the locker room that says, I don't know what the schedule looks like, they're lying, bro. They're lying. You know what I'm saying? So as content creators, bro, and we're sitting here on this podcast, I just like to tell it how it is. I do think I will utter some words from the great Pat Riley. And I think X didn't give us his all today. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, okay, he's hurt. You know what I'm saying? Waddle's hurt too. Tyreek Hill was cramping in Baltimore. We were down 21 points, and Tyreek Hill was on the sideline down, and he said, "Nah, I got to get back in here. I got to fight through these cramps." And we came back and won. Pat Riley said, "If you could give me 60%," somebody was hurt for the Miami Heat. And he was in the locker room when he said this to the player in front of the team. He said, "If you could give me 60%, would you?" You're like, yeah, I could play at 60%. You're like, "If you could give me 40%, would you?" Yeah, I could play at 40%. And then basically Pat Riley says, like, I want you to give me your all. If you are unwilling to give me like 60%, a 60% Xavier Howard, I would take a 60% Xavier Howard over 100% Keon Crossing. I just feel like the man didn't give us his all. Y'all could shoot me shots on Twitter at Charlie_Touche, but I see it how that's how I see it. Yeah, you'll stay close. Tyreek Hill came back in the game. He gave us his all when he was cramping and was on the sideline, and we were down 21 points. Do you feel me? But that's how I see that part.
Someone can correct me in the comments or Twitter or whatever, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm not trying to like get into a back and forth about X. You know, I'm pretty sure X came out of that game as well and came back in. I think, like I said, today was just, in my opinion, the short week and just one too many games. Hence why, you know, by the end, X was just like, no. But again, I've seen quotes from X saying he should be okay for the Jets game, and hopefully for that Jets game.
You know, I don't want to say what's funny, but I'm not gonna lie, Kadeem. I think because I was at a wing spot with the homies and we were watching it. You know, it's a gang of TVs on a wing spot, so I didn't have the luxury of watching it in my own house and the rewind button. I could just rewind it. But I think after Xavier Howard got beat by T. Higgins, he said something like, "Oh, I couldn't see something. Oh, I couldn't see the ball." Like, bro, you were already beat. The ball had nothing to you not seeing the ball had nothing to do with you being beat by 3 yards. That's not an excuse. So all I keep hearing are excuses for X. Like, oh, Rashard Bateman smoked him from the line. You had the angle on him. It's okay to get beat. I'm not saying it's not okay to get beat. I'm just saying it's not okay to get beat if you get paid $15 million every other week. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not okay to get beat. You just can't get beat every other week getting paid $15 million a year. That's all I'm saying, Kadeem.
But two things. One, we don't know X said that. And two,
I don't know if we could watch it back because it was on Prime. But I do believe he was like, I couldn't see. You know, like, what? You couldn't see? What couldn't you see? But go ahead, Kadeem, my bad.
And two, like, we know why X gets paid 15 mil a year. And it's not because he's shut down. It's because he makes plays. Like, you know, that. So, again, like, for me, it's now, you know, 10 past 5 in the morning. A discussion about X isn't what I'm going to do right now. But X getting beat, it's like, yeah, we both know it's going to happen. He's going to give up a 75-yard touchdown. X also leads the league in interceptions since 2017, which is why he gets paid 17 million. Like, it's the same with Trevon Diggs in Dallas. Last year he got a bunch of sacks and he also got burnt more than anyone in the league. And people say stupid stuff.
I know you say you don't want to get into a back and forth about X, but we're not supposed to pay players for what they did, but what they can do. I'm just saying, like, that was since 2017. That's nice, but your trajectory says it's not going to happen no more. And I'm just saying.
But you also got interceptions last year. Like, it's not like you had 0 interceptions last year.
Okay. Cool.
So it's like, again, X is always going to be X. He's going to get beat and he's going to get interceptions. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, I'm never going to be angry at X getting beat for 150 yards because that's what X does. He's going to get beat for 150 yards. Like, okay, cool, fair enough. Same way, you know, Byron Jones won't get beat for 150 yards, but he don't get interception. Byron Jones is the more lockdown corner. Xavier Howard is the, you know, interception corner. They both get paid the money because they both bring to the team that special skill, I guess.
What else stood out for you this week?
Huh?
What else stood out for you during the game?
Jalen Phillips got his first sack, but I also felt like the Dolphins didn't get enough pressure on Joe Burrow. But I also felt like he got the ball out quite quickly. And then once X went down, and it really literally was just backup corners, you know, the lockdown, there was no lockdown corners. And, you know, even if Burrow had the same amount of time in the pocket, the Bengals wide receiver started to just, you know, get free that step earlier. And yeah, you kind of felt the same way, you know, this is still a defensive team until otherwise. You kind of felt that, you know, in the fourth quarter, a couple of minutes left, the Dolphins down, 1 or 2, or even 3. It was about, if this game is going to turn on its head, it probably will be with a defensive score because Teddy Bridgewater just, again, and not even a knock on Teddy Bridgewater. It was just things weren't quite happening, and that second his interception where he tried to find Gesicki and miscommunication. Bridgewater said after that, the ball kind of sailed. To me, it looked more, he thought Gesicki was going to go out. Gesicki went in, and Von Bell was just there going, "Thanks, I'll take that. Game over."
Bro, it was a lot of miscommunication with the receivers. A lot. It looked like the first regular season game. If you told me this was the first game of the regular season, I could believe that. That's how discombobulated the receivers looked running into each other. There was a time when Sherfield didn't know the play. It was a lot of it, bro. Easy money. Alec Ingold did not get in the box, y'all. We're gonna come back. I know we're down like 3 Bs right now, or 4 Bs right now. My bad. We might be down 4 Bs, but he was plus 2,000. We're gonna catch that back. Man, Kadeem, I got a question for you, and I know we're about to cut it short, but the Dolphins are in a position where we have this window now. They are 1 year ahead of schedule for me winning the Super Bowl. For anyone who is a new listener, when we drafted Tua Tagovailoa Olipolo Tagovailoa, I said the Dolphins are going to win a Super Bowl while Tua's on his rookie contract, and I believe that. The year I said it is 2024. I think we are ahead of schedule. Not saying we can win, we won't win it this year, but I just feel like next year is a better year for us to pull that off. That being said, Kadeem, we are 3-1. We have a pretty decent schedule ahead of us with the Paper Planes, the Vikings, the Lions, the Bears, the Steelers, and San Fran, Houston, right? At the trade deadline, are we interested in moving significant capital to bring in significant help? Or do you feel like, you know what? Let's just stay the pace and we'll wait till next offseason and see if we can move some picks around? Or are you like, yo, we're winning the division, we're ahead of Buffalo, let's take our shot now? Is there some help out there that you like, you know what, we're going to go get this center, we're going to get this right tackle, or we're going to go get this DB or linebacker? What do you think?
Probably not. Like, we've had this conversation a few times around would we move Mike Gesicki depending on, the record at the trade deadline. I think through 4 games, 4 weeks, when healthy, this team has shown they could probably beat anyone in the league. So moving significant capital, even if the Dolphins don't lose again, to get the trade deadline and they're 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably stay the course, because I think the piece you're probably going to get is either a right tackle or a center or a linebacker,
or a corner right now. Because I'm just saying
that's who you like. I wouldn't go DB, especially what you're gonna do with X and the dead cap money and stuff like that. Are you gonna have X?
I didn't say trade X. I'm just saying.
I'm saying, but then at that point you're paying to go and get someone significant. Unless they're on a rookie contract, you are paying so much money for 3 corners. It's just like,
can you blame me right now? We have 2 hurt corners. The corners that I said we're top heavy in, after X and Byron, we don't have corners, and suddenly X and Byron are out. So, like, can you really blame me for trying to acquire some more corners? But
100%, yes, because X, as far as we know, is going to be fine for the Jets game, and Byron Jones is back for the Jets game, again right now. So if this is X and Byron Jones have gone down for the season and not playing another snap, then yes, I'd go and get corner help. But on September 30th, 4 weeks away from the trade deadline, unless you have unless you're Mystic Meg and have a ball which tells you that X and Byron Jones aren't playing another snap, I don't see the point in getting corner help when we still need help on the offensive line and maybe even linebacker. So I can understand, given that X and Byron Jones hasn't played yet. X is dealing with a groin injury, but I wouldn't spend significant draft capital on a corner until I know that X and Byron Jones are down for the season. That's just my personal opinion.
So but then it might be too late by then, because the X injury might linger for 7 weeks, and then. But here's what I say: I wouldn't trade Gesicki anyway. I'm not talking about moving Gesicki. I'm talking about like picks. Or now is a perfect time to consider. All right, look, I don't want to move Cedric Wilson because it's dead cap penalties that we will accrue because we just signed him this year. And next year we can't move him either because there'll be dead cap penalties. However, if you're like, yo, this is a Super Bowl year, and if the Rams could say F them picks, then the Dolphins could say F the dead cap. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, whether it's a center, whether it's a right tackle, whether it's a linebacker, or in my opinion, it could be a corner, this is a perfect time for me to say, hey, go spend significant capital and bring in Asante Samuel Jr. on his rookie contract. Still has 3 more seasons left on it. And it's like, yo, so now Asante Samuel Jr. can play inside or outside, and he will replace X or Byron Jones when his contract is up. Whenever that rookie contract is up, we don't have to pay all 3 of them. We could just pay him, and we could let one of them X, and they'll be 3 years older than what they are right now. So I'm all for it. But that's this here nor there. I'm sure we're gonna get into bonus time soon. You got something else before we get into bonus time?
I could take in bonus time. It's all good.
Hey, look, man, we appreciate everybody rocking with us. Shout out to Kadeem Simmons for staying awake. It's beyond 5 o'clock in the morning over there now in London. Sun probably still coming up. If the sun comes out, I know the sun barely comes out over there. But hey,
still dark outside.
Dolphins took a L. The team took a L. It's not good for the Dolphin fans right now. But we'll bounce back one game at a time. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive. Test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time.
One for me. Former Dallas Cowboys tight end Gavin Escobar died Thursday afternoon, but he was signed by the Dolphins in 2018. Never played a game for the Dolphins. Signed in April 2018, released September 2018. So yeah, was with the Dolphins for a few months. But even if you never played for the Dolphins, never nice when someone suddenly passed away, died in a rock climbing accident. So, thoughts and prayers to the Escobar family. 31, way too soon. That's just, yeah.
For sure. And I think the report said he was found like in a rock climbing. So who knows what that was like. That's tragic. Kadeem, I know Miami is your second home, and you're like a Miami fan, Marlins fan, Miami Heat fan, Miami everything fan. When the Miami Heat brought in LeBron James and Chris Bosh to pair up with D-Wade, and we made a run and everyone was hating on us. As a Floridian, born and raised in Miami, Florida, this is the closest thing I can remember or I felt with this Miami Dolphins team. This is the only thing I could really compare it to. We had this hashtag going when the Heat were brought in LeBron and all them. And it was Miami versus the world. And it was like everybody hated the Heat, and the Heat were the villains, and everybody hated us, and everybody hated LeBron for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Because Dog said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Had he say, I'm taking my talents to the Big Apple, it would not have been mayhem like it was, right? And I didn't understand why we getting all this smoke. Like, why y'all got all this smoke with us? You feel me? But we did. And this is the only thing I can compare it to, because for whatever reason, everybody is hating on the Dolphins. Everybody is piling up on the Dolphins. Everybody cannot wait to hit the Dolphins with the I told you so. Oh, I told you it was a fluke. Somehow we had 2 flukes back to back to back, or back to back, which is the Bills and the Ravens. Oh, it's a fluke. It's a fluke. And the Patriots are done. So we didn't beat 3 playoff teams. We somehow fluked our way through 3-0. All right. And we were still in there with a backup quarterback against the Bengals. All right. So everybody counting us out. And I'm going to just tell y'all like this, because I know there's Floridians that listen to this podcast and they can feel me right now. It's Miami versus the world again. And last time we came out with a couple championships. And this time we're going to do it again.